And welcome to the second part of Talking Europe on France 24. The number of migrants who entered the EU illegally last year nearly tripled to 275,000 people compared to 2013. Fleeing conflict in the Middle East and North Africa, most migrants arrived via the Mediterranean. Well, on Thursday, EU interior ministers vowed to step up controls at the bloc's external borders and set up processing facilities in third countries. But with unrest creating chaos in places like Libya, the European Union faces a huge challenge. I'm joined here in the studio by the Executive Director of Frontex, the EU Border Management Agency. Fabrice Leggeri, welcome to Talking Europe. Now, because most EU member states are members of Schengen, which means that there are no more internal borders, controlling the bloc's external borders is of paramount importance. Frontex, your agency, was set up in 2005. Its headquarters are in Warsaw, and this year you have a budget of approximately 115 million euro. We're going to talk about the money because this looks very little, but can you briefly describe your mission first?
Well, Frontex agency is an EU agency. The mission of the agency is to help and to support member states in the border management, in the management of the EU external borders. So basically, we coordinate operations, joint operations, for instance, on request on member states facing difficult situations on certain border sections. We deploy coordinated border vehicles, patrols, helicopters or patrolling boat and border guards coming from different member states in order to support. For instance, in February we launched an operation in Hungary at the land border to Serbia, and of course we have an ongoing very important operation called Triton in the south of Italy to address the pressure of irregular migration coming from Libya.
Now, last week you raised the alarm, warning that 2015 could be one of the most dramatic years for immigration. You expect several hundred thousands of migrants trying to reach Europe. Is the situation out of control?
Well, the situation is not out of control. On European side, we organize the reception of those migrants. This is not a matter of alarm, it's a matter of awareness, because we need European solidarity, and it's known by all experts that thousands of migrants are waiting in the neighborhood of the EU.
Some say up to 1 million migrants, would-be migrants.
Well, it's in open sources that it's of course difficult to say exactly, because very few embassies are there, very few liaison officers are in Libya. But it's open source, and some authorities in EU member states have said that. But what is also important to say is that well, some migrants debriefed by Frontex in South Italy in the framework of Triton operation, some migrants say that they have been waiting in Libya for 2 or 3 years. So this helps to understand the context and the potential consequences, but it also helps to know what we can do, what could we do in order to avoid that these people are victims of traffickers, because the most important is that the migrants, they are victims.
Europe looks very powerless in the face of these traffickers, and there's the human cost, of course, of the crisis. The UN says that 3,500 people died last year while crossing the Mediterranean on makeshift boats. As we know, greedy smugglers are able to operate from semi-failed states, Libya, for instance, in impunity. There's nothing Europe seems to be able to do.
Well, the European Union at operational level launched Triton. We have different joint operations also in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, at the border between Greece and Turkey, Bulgaria and Turkey. We also have joint operations in Hungary now. and we have ongoing operations in the airports in order to support member states.
But can you crack down on these smugglers?
We can cooperate among European police services, and for instance, Frontex has signed recently a working agreement with Europol, the European, let's say, police cooperation agency, in order to transfer data, personal data to Europol that could be used in police and judicial investigations in order to crack down trafficking of human beings, at least when the people, the traffickers, are in the European member states.
You mentioned Operation Triton. In October, Italy ended its humanitarian Mare Nostrum operation off Libya. Mare Nostrum began in 2013 after more than 300 migrants drowned off the island of Lampedusa. It's been replaced by Operation Triton. Well, Triton is run by Frontex. It's a border control operation, not a search and rescue mission. It only has a third of the budget of Mare Nostrum. It looks like we're back to square zero.
No, I would like to stress and to be clear here, Triton is more in benefits to Italy and is solidarity, European solidarity. Mare Nostrum was an Italian national operation launched in October 2013. The patrolling of the Navy, the Italian Navy, was organized very close to the Libyan shore, and it was designed as a search and rescue operation. At the end of last year, in 2014, Italian authorities decided to stop Mare Nostrum. They phased out, so step by step.
And they say because they didn't receive financial support from the European Union. So there's a problem there.
Well, they are channels. Frontex is the European tool for operational solidarity, but they are also funds given by the European Commission, which are the financial instruments of the European solidarity. I would like to mention the Internal Security Fund, specially designed for the border management to invest. And there's also one more, which is called AMIF. It's Asylum Migration Integration Fund, which is also designed to invest in detention centers, a reception center for migrants, and different kind of asylum policies, integration. So there are tools for the solidarity. But when it comes to Frontex operations and Triton, Triton was launched in November 2014. It was decided at EU level that this Triton operation would be deployed near the Italian coast, and the reason is very easy to understand. The European Union has no competence in search and rescue operation. If you look at the law of the sea, international law, countries, states, have the competence, and the European Union is unknown to international law regarding search and rescue operations.
Does it mean you're powerless?
We are not powerless. We have assets, we have boats, we have aircraft. We can make...
You have 6 ships, 4 planes and 1 helicopter at your disposal for Triton and a staff of 65. Isn't this...
But this is the additional, the added value, the solidarity of the European Union. But the assets deployed in the context of Triton are made available for search and rescue operations and the Italian command. When there is a distress call, when the Italian authorities get distress call, they can use Triton vessels in order to organize the search and rescue operations. So what I want to say is that Triton operations means more assets deployed in the region. If you have an Icelandic vessel, for instance, which was the case when I visited Triton in Italy in February, there was an Icelandic vessel there.
Iceland is part of Schengen, by the way.
It's part of Schengen, and that's the Schengen solidarity to Italy. When you have a vessel, an Icelandic vessel, patrolling between Sicily and the North African coast, the only reason why there was this specific Icelandic vessel is Triton mission. So the people who say that Triton means less. This is completely wrong, because in fact the normal assets deployed by the Italian Coast Guard and Navy are still there, because they are Italian vessels. They are still there. But what is now more is Triton operation. So this is a solidarity which is designed to support Italy in patrolling and surveillance of the external borders, but it can be used also for search and rescue.
Fabrice Leggeri, I remind our viewers that you are the Executive Director of Frontex, the EU Border Management Agency. Now, let's leave the Mediterranean behind us for a moment, because this week the EU Interior Minister said that the bloc has to do more to protect its land borders in the Western Balkans. We'll head to Bulgaria now. In the past 2 years, more than 18,000 refugees, mainly from Syria's civil war, have crossed the border from Turkey to seek asylum, increasing the pressure on the EU's poorest member state. Last year, France 24's Georges Vardy was allowed to follow a Frontex team on a night patrol. Let's take a look at his report.
Bulgaria's EU membership gives the country access to resources like Frontex, the European Border Agency.
There's a camera from the Bulgarian colleagues, and it's also a thermal vision.
Frontex officers are selected from police forces across the EU. There are currently around 20 stationed here, ready to give the Bulgarian border police backup assistance if needed.
Most of the time we're patrolling in the car, and there is somewhere in the area there is a thermal vision van who can watch at night, and if they see groups of migrants or groups of people, then they will tell us where we have to go.
The Bulgarian government, in cooperation with the EU, is spending vast resources on locking down the land border. Until recently, the streets of Goyam Dervent, a small border village, were packed with new arrivals. That's no longer the case.
The border is 4 to 5 kilometers away from here. The immigrants can't come in because they're guarding the border. There is one police officer every 20 meters. As soon as they see them, they push them back into Turkey.
Even for those that make it here to Bulgaria, there's little to welcome them on this side of the wall.
Fabrice Leggeri, did your mission in Bulgaria make a difference?
Well, the big difference is that we help Bulgaria, and that this is highly appreciated by Bulgarian authorities. It's the opportunity to get more means, such as patrolling cars, border guards in migrants reception center, but it's also a matter of training. This kind of joint operation are also a good opportunity to work together to develop the European border guard community. It's also an opportunity to upgrade the standards, the technical standards, the know-how, and also the fundamental rights dimension.
What Bulgaria started doing last year is very controversial. The country started building a barbed wire fence along its border with Turkey. So far it's 33 kilometers long, but the government wants to extend it by a further 130 kilometers. These types of fences are very controversial. Do they work? Do you support this scheme?
Well, the European Union and the European Commission didn't support this fence. There were political statements when the Bulgarian authorities started to build up this fence. But when I visited Bulgaria, I asked Bulgarian authorities how they assess and why they built that fence. And they said, that's what the Bulgarian authorities said to me, that it was designed so that the potential asylum seekers have to go through official border crossing points, and so that they are not victims of smugglers. So to give these potential migrants the opportunity to claim for asylum at the official border.
But what the UN says is quite the contrary. They say that this fence makes it even more dangerous for would-be migrants to cross the border, and that they're in the hands of relentless smugglers and traffickers. So they don't agree with that particular position.
I'm not saying that this is Frontex position. I was just quoting the Bulgarian authorities. But the situation there is very high pressure of irregular migration. For obvious reason, many of them are potential asylum seekers. Just would like to recall the situation in Syria, the situation in the Middle East. So for all these reasons,
Turkey is a main transit route.
Turkey is a main transit route. Turkey has also given asylum to many Syrian citizens. So Turkey is a country which is crucial for the European Union, and that's why also we developed operational cooperation with Turkey, and we really wish to go ahead with Turkey in the cooperation. And Frontex has decided to now discuss with Turkey in order to deploy a Frontex liaison officer there.
Fabrice Leggeri, thank you very much for talking to us. I remind our viewers that you're the executive director of Frontex, the EU Border Management Agency.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching Talking Europe. Please stay with us on France 24 for more news. Goodbye.